Hi, Carey. Good
Hi,
afternoon.
Jody.
Question. I'd like to know your biggest obstacle that you've had to get over. And if possible, your personal, I don't know. But I'd like to know, what did you do to get over it? How did you do it?
I think the biggest obstacle is that we have a daughter that has special needs. And so even though she's 26, she can't stay alone. So I had to find programs for her that would allow me to do my job as well when she graduated. So finding the right networking groups that would meet on days that that would accommodate me, and making sure that she can get where she needs to be, and working from home is the best solution for all of that. So I've been able to do an amazing job getting her programs that she needs and working myself as well. And if I've got to work later at night, that's what I do. If I work on weekends, in order to make sure that my family is taken care of, then that's what we have to do. So it's an obstacle, but it hasn't been insurmountable. It's just taken planning and programming and a little bit of adjustments here and there. So
When you first, I guess, call it diagnosis, was your daughter a baby or was she already a toddler when you got?
we started noticing some things for sure by the time she was 2 years old.
Mhm.
We had been living overseas. She was getting a lot of ear infections before that. And when we moved back to the States, when we repatriated, she was just about 2 years old, and we knew she was going to have some ear tubes put in. We did that, and then we started getting other diagnoses through the years. About every 6 months, we'd get a new diagnosis about her.
You mean like because she was in like a daycare or something? I mean, how would you get this
Well,
feedback?
she was having trouble articulating. She would jargon a lot rather than make clear sentences. So I'm a very big believer in research. And so I would try to research these things on my own, little by little. And I ask a lot of questions. I've always asked a lot of questions. So little by little, I would be drawn to the right professionals that could give me answers that I needed in order to research to find out the professionals to treat her. So the first things we noticed were some expressive and receptive language disorders, as I later learned they were called. And then there were some issues that led us to occupational therapy. She had sensory integration dysfunction. It's called something else now, and several other things that with balance and movement and fine motor skills. So little by little, we were getting diagnoses from different professionals.
So did you need some sort of emotional support as you were going through this? And if so, where'd you get it?
That is a very, very good question. I have an extremely supportive husband. I'm very fortunate because having been in the special needs community for so many years, that's not always the way it is. I would imagine, I don't know the statistics, I would imagine the percentage of families that don't stay together is very high. We have friends and acquaintances that we've known through the years where one or the other parent is not as willing to work through the other issues that come along with having a child with special needs. For whatever reason, it doesn't work out. My husband is extremely supportive. He's always said, okay, whatever you think, tell me what you think, because he knows that I've researched everything. Tell me why you think it, and tell me what you think we should do about it. And then he was always on board with everything I've said. And that was a tremendous relief to me that I had that support. My mother, I'm very close with her as well. And she was taking the journey with us, trying to figure out, she was a teacher. She was teaching on the opposite end. She was teaching the gifted and talented. So she didn't really have the experience in this, but she was always very supportive to me emotionally.
Well, that is so important because I know a lot of the women that I deal with, the support is really half the battle. And also I noticed what I thought was very interesting is that you were courageous enough to do a lot of research to find out what is going to work for your particular situation. And that is so important because obviously, you have this wonderful daughter and you want to give her the best life, and also for yourself in order to maybe know how to best handle and, be the best mom to her and with her particular set of needs.
what was the hardest is we were starting to get diagnoses about she was born in 94. So about 1995, 96, we were starting to get these diagnoses, and the internet was not what it is
I
today. I mean,
know.
we didn't have the resources that I could just, type into, a search engine and find it out. So it was a lot more strenuous, buying books and talking to anybody who would listen to try to figure out where I needed to go and what I needed to do. That was a lot more cumbersome than it
Oh
would have
my
been today.
gosh, that's so right. And, I think that there's going to be people listening that can't even imagine this. And it's even hard for me. I have to tell you that even me, it's so hard for me to imagine not having the internet, my laptop, everything that I have. And I thought, what did I do in 1994, 1993? And I didn't have to research anything about my kids. It was just life,
What did we do without cell phones, right?
Well, yeah. And sometimes, well, that's a mixed blessing. And sometimes, it's a nice convenience when
Without the internet, my job wouldn't be what it is today either. So,
oh, join the club. I mean, this is everything. And now with what's gone on in our lives, I think people are discovering, a lot of people I know my age are they were first kind of reluctant. They didn't want to do these calls. I thought it seemed kind of impersonal. And I think now they're seeing the validity that just, you don't have to touch somebody to be close to them.
well, what I've always tried to do is to look at the positive things in life, when it pertains to my daughter, when it pertains to having to do these Zoom meetings. I don't have to get in my car and spend maybe 30 minutes driving somewhere. My time is used much more effectively these days from doing Zoom. Now, don't get me wrong, I would rather be meeting in person. That is the cornerstone of my business, is relationships. But this, if you have to do it, why not look at least the positives of being able to do something like this,
Yes.
rather than everything negative.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, I love this. I will say that there are times where I feel lonely. And I think people, I know I used to be married. I know that you can feel, I felt lonely when I was married at times. So it's just a fact of just what's happening, whatever. And I know that when I just say it to somebody, it loses a lot of its power.
Right.
And in some ways, I really don't miss the face-to-face because of the traffic.
Well, it's really interesting because by nature, I'm an introvert, but I'm an extroverted introvert. So I'm just perfectly fine working at my home. I like my solitude. I prefer this to working in an office, say. I like to have my solitude and my rhythm, but I also greatly miss seeing the people through networking. I'm very involved in the local chamber and several other networking groups. I miss seeing everybody face to face, but this is a way that we can connect in a very difficult time. Many of us are struggling with that, but as far as my work goes, my work has been completely uninterrupted, because I can still do everything that I could do before now, except the best part of it, which is meeting clients and getting to know who they are in a more informal setting, in a face-to-face. So, but again, looking positively, at least I get to do that through Zoom or whatever platform that we use.
A lot of times they say that we are our business. And I believe that very much. I know I hear this term holistic slapped on a lot of things. To me, whatever we are is a reflection of us. Why I'm in a particular thing or you. What is it that makes you in page by page?
So are you asking how it's a reflection of me?
Yeah. How is it? Because it must, I see that your avatar is you in essence. So, and I know we are really our business. And it didn't really click with me until I started having my own business, how intimate it really is. And we're being very vulnerable to a lot of people if they look deeply enough.
Right. So, well, I formed my business 20 years ago this year. And I've had, it's pretty remarkable milestone. I'm very grateful for all of the clients and the folks that I meet, and I mean, everybody has something to teach you, right? So I, it gives me a chance to express myself creatively and to make unique designs for the people that I'm working with. And I'm a very creative person. I've won, well, we've won, our family has won 3 years worth of costume contests and Halloween. I've got some on my Facebook page that are pretty incredible. We would dress our dog up. I'd go through these elaborate costumes. The first year we won, we were the I family. So it was the I mom, the I kid, and the I lab 6+. And I created these phone screens, basically, with apps for each of the people. So the dog had like the ASPCA app, the dog weather app, the
God.
Purina app, whatever it was at the time. And my daughter's apps had all the, like the Chick-fil-A and the Disney Channel, all of the, I mean, they looked like real phones. And so we did 3 years worth of those. But as far as my business, and I also write. So, for example, when I'm helping my husband with his business, I'm writing the content for his website. I'm writing the content for my website. I'm writing blogs on special needs parenting that I've had 7 of them published in an online special needs parenting magazine. I wrote when I was living overseas articles for an upscale Egyptian new mothers magazine. So
Wait a minute, let me get this straight. Upscale, I got to get this word. There's a lot of words here. Upscale, Egyptian, new mother magazine. Wow, you are creative.
Well,
I mean, that's
I've
really
written
wild.
my whole life. I mean, I'm not, I wouldn't consider myself, I never classify myself as a writer. I prefer doing blog type articles that can help other people and express myself at the same time rather than writing. I would not make a good journalist because I want to pick my own subjects and write it the way I want to write it, but I'm kind of funny like that. But all of this fits together and gives me a sense of being able to accomplish myself and express myself creatively. So.
Aside from your daughter, what is your biggest inspiration? Because you are so creative. I mean, I love it because I love to get in minds. It's selfish, I got to tell you, because I love creative people. It's like I'm a magnet for them and I want it to rub off on me. I want to say, come on. And what is your greatest inspiration aside from your daughter? Because she is.
It's actually, so if you ask me who my heroes are, it's my daughter, but it's also my mother. My mother raised 3 of us by herself. My stepfather left the family when I was 11 and my brothers were 2 and 6 months. And the way that she was able to navigate the family, we never felt like we were lacking for anything, even though I knew in my heart that we couldn't do things that maybe some of my other friends could do. We were in a bad financial situation. But she did it with grace, fortitude, and perseverance. And she always found time to be encouraging. So she would always tell me, you want to join a club, go out for the club, go out for all the clubs, do it. You know, of course, the flip side is she always said, what, you only got an A, what happened to the A+, you know, things like that. But it was her way of inspiring me. She always was very complimentary and encouraging. And I never felt like I was missing anything because she became a mother and a father. And although there were things that I would have liked to have or to do, or the inspiration that I got from her, and she went back to school because she had been a housewife. She went back to school, got her bachelor's degree in teaching, got her master's degree in teaching, both with top honors. I think one was magna cum laude, one was summa cum laude. Went to night school. She had me as a built-in babysitter, she used to say, because my brothers were so much younger. And did it, and then ended up moving down to Texas from where I grew up, which was Long Island, New York. And she worked 7 days a week. She moved down here knowing nobody. She had put in 75 applications countrywide, and Houston, one of the schools in Houston, was the first one to come through. And she moved down here by herself with my two brothers. I was in college, and made a life down here. And so she's really been a tremendous inspiration, not only from an encouraging standpoint, how she was with us, but from just a humanitarian aspect of how she could go through all of this with the grace that she did, and came out to be an amazing, I mean, she's just an amazing woman. So yes, both of those people are my inspirations.
Wow. I mean, that is so inspiring. Your mom is, I mean, because I just think of what it's like to have 3 kids and to know that you're doing it alone, but let alone your mother having to look at, do her education plus the kids, plus that's so much. And such young children,
Yes.
Did you ever feel, I don't know, kind of put upon because you were the go-to babysitter?
I think I probably did. When I was growing up, there were times where I would just escape and take my bike and ride 20 miles to see a friend, just because I needed to get out of the house. But the thing is that about me is that I always try to understand things. So I understood why things were the way they were. I understood why she needed me. And it while I felt maybe at times put upon, I didn't feel necessarily like it was a burden I couldn't get over, because I was helping my mother, the person that meant more to me than anything in the world. So yes and no is the answer to your question.
Yes.
It's hard to be 16 or 15 or even 12 and having to go through that, because I was grieving the loss of my stepfather. I was grieving the fact that he walked away, and that is a very difficult thing for when you're any child, really. But and we had just moved to a new city too, so I didn't know anybody. No, I mean, you do what you have to do for family, right?
Did you ever find out why he left, or did you ever care, or just was that the door closed?
Many years later, we found out, and it's not something that really, I mean, that's my mother's story to tell. It's not my story to tell.
Sure.
But yeah, it's hard, as a lot of children of a divorced house sometimes feel like it's their fault. I didn't necessarily feel that it was my fault, because there was no reason it should have been. I was logical enough at that age to understand that, but it's still hard not to take it personally.
I would imagine it would be. And even my children were adults when I got divorced. And I can't say that they took it on themselves. I can't go in their heads and anything like that. I can say that there was a lot of disbelief, and that they were very surprised. And I think that sometimes people are in the illusion, like you had so much knowledge and maturity beyond your 11 years. And if I had just heard, okay, her dad walked out at 11 years old, I wouldn't have figured that you would have that depth of understanding.
Well, I think the understanding probably came later. Yes, there was shock. Yes, there was disbelief. My stepfather actually adopted me, so when I was 8. So to lose him at 11 was really a blow. And I can't say at 11 years old that I understood what I understood maybe at 15, 16, where I had a better grip on things. But my mother was such a force that she really she made sure that we always felt loved. And I felt like it was a happy home. She was the type of mother that all of our friends wanted to hang out at our house, because she was the coolest mother. She was pretty young, and just, she would rather have us playing at or having parties or whatever at our house than worry about where we are or what we're doing. So,
Your mother must be so proud of you.
I'm very proud of her.
Yeah. I mean, what a, you know, I think I always used to say to people that were my mentors, I always would say, thank you is kind of an empty word. You know, it's pleasant. The thank you I can do is by working it, by becoming what you were trying to teach me, by becoming that success in whatever that area is. And, you know, that's how I can measure a thank you at times.
It's interesting because my mother was really disappointed at me because I left school. I was going to a very good school. They called it a little Ivy League school.
Oh, yes,
and
it is.
when she moved down here between my sophomore and my junior year, I came down for a summer visit and never went back. I told somebody to send my stuff because I was going to a school and I didn't really know why. I knew I was in a great school. I was originally going for law, and I decided after my first government class, it really wasn't for me. So I became an English major, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with it just because I like English. I love the English language, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with that. My mother wanted me to teach, so we would have summers that we could travel together. I did not want to teach. I would not make a good teacher. And I did not want to be a journalist, even though I liked to write. So when I moved down here, I had taken a summer job, got a promotion, and just stayed. And I've had all these different jobs and a couple of careers that have led me to where I am today, and which I wouldn't have had if I'd stayed where I was. Now, she was very disappointed that I left that school. Because she said, if once you leave, you'll never go back. And she was right, I didn't. But I didn't see the point in spending a lot of money for school when there was never any one thing that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Now, the job my graphic design and printing company right now, I love. I mean, it satisfies all my needs. And I can see myself doing it for the rest of my life. But there was nothing like that when I was in school in, I won't tell you what year, but a long time ago. So we didn't have that option.
Well, yeah, because I think I'm even a longer time ago than you. I think we've discussed this before. So I can definitely relate to that. And you're right, you were at a top-notch school. I've definitely heard about where you were. And isn't it wonderful? What are two of your favorite quotes, if you have any?
Oh, I do.
Good.
Yeah, so I knew you were going to ask me about that, and I wrote them down so that I would not get them wrong. These two are very, very special to me. One is, it says, those who say it cannot be done should not interrupt the person doing it.
Beautiful. And who did that quote? Do you know who wrote that?
It's a Chinese proverb. I have a greeting card that I found that says that. And when my daughter was in elementary school and not having the best time, I would purchase copies of that card to give to the teachers, because I felt like it was very important for them to understand that if you're saying that she can't do something, don't interrupt her, watch her do it. So that's my first quote. The other one is, it's an Emerson quote, Ralph Waldo Emerson. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And those are my two favorite quotes.
And what struck you? Why is the Emerson quote one of your favorite quotes?
Because while the past and the future are important, I mean, the past shapes who you are today, and the future is something that we are guided towards, looking forward to. It's really who we are inside that's that should be the main focal point. I mean, I conduct myself with integrity. There is nothing I ever post on social media that's going to be controversial. I treat my clients respectfully. I treat them honestly, and I try to help people where I can. That's what's within me. That's part of my spirit, my soul. And that's where I focus on. I think that you need to, for me, I need to get better than the person I am right now, always continuing to improve, but it's who you are inside that's the most important, not, even though you're guided by your past and you're headed towards your future, who you are inside it speaks volumes about you.
Very beautifully said. And I really want to point out that you were saying, I need to improve. And I noticed when people talk about them from their own experience, to me, they're owning themselves. They're not saying you need to do this. They're saying I do. And that makes me respect what you said even more so. Thank you for
Well, I
being
started
part
to
of it.
say you need to get better than who you, but I said that's wrong because not everybody feels that way. I can only speak for myself. I can't, I may have opinions on other people or other things, but the only opinion really that is going to be important in who I become as we all have, I feel like we all should transition. We all should strive to be better than the person we are today. But I can only speak for myself, and that's why I reversed it, and I made sure that I was only talking about myself. I'm not going to profess to tell anybody else how to live their life or what to do. I have to be accountable for me.
Well, and I love that. You just said the magic words, accountable for me. And when we put it on ourselves, when I say, my experience, this is what I think, then it's me. It's not brushing it off, trying to say somebody else is at fault. So we don't have to look at ourselves. And isn't that wonderful? And thank you. Our time is up, kind of past up. I have to tell you, it is really, Carey, it's an honor to have you here today. And thank you for sharing Carey Handley with us today.
Well, Jody, I appreciate you talking to me about this. This has been, you're a wonderful interviewer. You've asked some great questions and very evocative, and I was able to express myself the way I needed to. So thank you so much for making me feel at ease.
Thank you. I'll keep that compliment. Thank you very much.